Hi, JB. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anthony. So happy to be here.
It's great having you. I believe it's the first time that I'm having someone on the show who's at the moment of the interview based in India.
Yeah, as of now, as we are speaking, I'm in India. So business as usual. It just goes the same way that I was in US.
For sure, for sure. And you have a beautiful setup behind you, by the way. I love the whole branding there.
Oh, thank you.
JB, for those who don't know you yet, could you tell a bit about your background and what led you to start consulting?
Um, where should I start? To start with how I entered into the Salesforce, I still feel it's those magical moments. So I was working as a configuration and a release manager, and it was kind of monotonous work. And out of my interest and curiosity, I was helping out other teams, the Center of Excellence team, who were trying to integrate Jira with Salesforce. At the time, I have no idea what Salesforce is. So I happened to know about Salesforce. I helped them with the integration, and out of my curiosity, I wanted to learn further. And there was an immediate need on a project where I volunteered to be on the team. So that's how I got introduced to the Salesforce. I can say I was an accidental admin. And the same way it happened to me, that I bounced upon the Marketing Cloud. So there was a project, and I was the go-to person, and there was a team already. So they were all there to help me. I learned from them, and I had the hands-on org. So it's been like 6+ years in the Marketing Cloud world. So I'm really glad that I found Marketing Cloud, and I like the work that I do. So I enjoy my work every day.
Interesting. And so you actually came from a release management side. So if I understood correctly, you were working mostly with Jira, doing releases, but not so much into Salesforce itself. And then gradually you developed into more marketing cloud work. So I'm kind of curious what you think about, and if you've done work related to release management specifically for Salesforce Marketing Cloud itself, because it's this tricky thing, right? Where people who come from Salesforce CRM, they're used to having sandboxes, test environments, release sets, deployments, etc. These are all things that aren't really there in Marketing Cloud. So what are your thoughts about that?
So when I worked as a configuration and release manager, I worked on different tools. So ClearCase was one of them. So it has very good branching mechanisms, and then many ways that we can maintain the developer orgs. So it's very easy to identify the work and merge the work. So it's very strategic, and it's very robust. So when I started working on the Salesforce, and I learned about the sandboxes. It's not as robust as the release environment that I have seen before. But still,
Mhm.
from the times that I started working on Salesforce to where um, it is now, I see a lot of advancements in there. And
Mhm.
also on the Marketing Cloud, I know OpenAI is something which is lacking. And I see this in the day-to-day activities as well. When a new team member joins and know they don't remember to take a backup of the existing email, and they directly go and edit on the emails. That's something which bothers me, which reminds me the need for having a source control system like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And constantly backing up HTML email templates, definitely a good idea because those things can really get out of control. And I think people really underestimate just how complex programming emails is because you have so many different clients, and not just different providers, but even the different versions of those providers, like different versions of Microsoft Outlook, just to name one. Um, but I think people from the Salesforce CRM ecosystem, they're used to having release sets because it's one of the things that made Salesforce such a good enterprise CRM. The fact that you could have releases while supporting thousands of users. But I think, and so the notion of deployments and release management is a little bit more well known amongst CRM providers, but not definitely not all of them. But Salesforce is sort of outstanding there. But then all those ESPs and marketing automation platforms, including ExactTarget, the one that was acquired, I don't think they've ever heard of the notion of release it, and I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure Mailchimp, HubSpot. Marketo don't have release sets. Parrot certainly doesn't have release sets. So I wonder if it has something to do with that, just like the legacy of these platforms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hoping to
oh, go
see
ahead.
more advancements on that front.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more. And especially with so much effort in the marketing cloud space of Salesforce going towards a data cloud, which sits more on their the same platform as CRM sits. I'm sure we'll have more capabilities there too. So hey, JB, you're wearing this very awesome hoodie. Those in the ecosystem will know it as the Golden Hoodie. So can you tell a little bit more about how did you earn this illustrious Salesforce Golden Hoodie?
So uh, there is no secret recipe for this, Anthony. To my knowledge, nobody knows who is going to get, who will get. But my understanding is that someone who has shown, who has been outgoing in helping out people, has shown their leadership capabilities and learning capabilities. I think they are the ones who can be identified as the Golden Hoodie recipient. But as I have heard from people, just like contrary to the MVP, we have some set standards like generosity, expertise, and leadership, and so on. But for the Golden Hoodie, I think it's for the people who go out and help people and who have been living an example of a trailblazer.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And we've had a few other Golden Hoodies on the show, including people like Kayla Moss, who did a lot of things, I would say educational, right? They put out a lot of content on how to, how to learn to work with Marketing Cloud. On that notice, I also noticed that you are the founder of the Marketing Cloud Learning Camp. Do you think that has something to do with the Golden Hoodie, maybe?
Maybe. A few years ago, I started helping out the women trailblazers.
Okay.
They weren't even the trailblazers, like women who were in a break or who haven't yet started their career. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the people who I knew through my community neighborhoods. So I found a need for the women to get together, have a support system. So that's how it's all started. So and then I uh, I extended it and introduced Salesforce. And I have continuously done some sessions every weekend where I introduced to the trailhead and we did some modules together. I helped them clear the certifications. And it makes me very proud to see the success of the people who never thought they can go out and they can explore the world of opportunities. So whatever progress that they make, whatever success they have achieved, it feels so great to feel that I'm also a little part of it. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing which I think which qualifies me for the Golden Hoodie, and that journey continued. So with the Marketing Cloud, and as you rightly said, MC Learning Camp. So I started it to help the people learn the Marketing Cloud. So when I started it, it's like 3 years ago. There were not many resources for somebody who wants to learn Marketing Cloud. So from that time on, I've been continuously doing some boot camps and with various topics. So the journey is continuing, and it makes me feel very glad. So that the purpose of my life, whatever I think that it's a purposeful life, purpose-driven life. So seeing the success of the people, like I see some posts on the LinkedIn or people reaching out to me saying that they have cleared the certification or they are venturing, they're starting their learning in the Marketing Cloud, and their go-to place is the YouTube videos that I have been posting or the MC Learning Camp sessions that I've been doing. So it's the ultimate satisfaction for me. So all the efforts that I have spent, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's worth spending.
That's fantastic. There's a few things actually there that you said are really interesting and worth exploring more. Maybe we can start by the Women Trailblazer group that you referred to. Can you just for the audience their sake explain a little bit more what that group is about? And what I would personally be really interested to know is obviously most people working in tech are male, right? I think even at Salesforce, and they're above industry standards. There's about 34% women. At my company, it's about 1/3, which again is pretty good considering the industry as a whole. But of course, it's still a far cry from being truly equal in the sense of being 50-50 split between male and female. So as a as a founder and an executive, I would also be personally interested in learning what strategies you found to be successful in getting women more excited about tech, or just making women successful in the tech role.
So when I got the thought of starting a group, I have seen the troubles and the hardships faced by people who have immigrated to the US, and also somebody who is dependent for everything. At least if they want to go outside of, if they want to purchase something, and coming into a new country and also having language barriers and also cultural differences, it's hard to go out and do anything on their own. So I have seen many sad stories. So the intention of starting the group was initially to provide a support system. So to gather at least once in a week, give a friendly support. That's how it started. So, and then it started with knowledge sharing, some sessions. And then I thought, why not Salesforce? Because I was working on the Salesforce core at that time. No, I was working on the Marketing Cloud, but I was helping out different people on the Salesforce. So I thought, why not introduce them? There's a long way to go for them to actually think of taking a job. But then I thought, why not introduce? And then people who are interested, who can spend some time, they can pursue that. So I started spending some time. I see a lot of interest, and I also observed that the people who were on a break and people who were trying to come out of their situation, so they have more passion. They will be ready to do any kind of hard work. So I have seen that personally, and the women that I have helped, they have spent days and nights, even without taking a breaks in between, spending 19 hours a day, investing on the Trailhead modules, learning and clearing the certifications. So I was very much in admiration for them, what the hard work they have been putting. So I believe in that, the karma philosophy, right? So if we put in the hard work, the results will eventually come. So they have done their hard work, and the situation came that at my work position, I found some opportunities, open opportunities, and I helped them join as the interns. And then they were working now in IBM and some great companies. So it's
Did you
very
just say they started as interns?
interns, the Salesforce
Okay.
interns. They started as a Salesforce developers, and then they're now working in good companies. So what I have seen different with this group of people is the passion and the commitment and the hard work. So they really, and especially with the women, they're more dedicated. I wouldn't classify with the women and the men, but what I have seen in my personal experience is they are ready to go out to break the glass ceiling, and then spend in extra time and effort to achieve what they planned for.
Yeah, it's almost as if the women who consciously and intentionally do that are may even be at an advantage compared to their male counterpart, just because they're so much more driven and they do it with purpose and with intent, and they know also what they're up against, so they're kind of better braced for the battle, so to speak, if that makes sense to you.
That exactly makes sense, Anthony. Rightly said.
Yeah, I also liked how you mentioned working with interns. It just caught my attention because when we were still a startup initially, and we were a bootstrap company for a while, so we had absolutely zero money. It even took a long time before I started paying myself out a salary with Deselect, and we started working with interns initially as well. Because in Europe, there's a great program called the Erasmus program, and it's for interns to go abroad. I did it too when I was a student, so did my co-founder Jonathan. And so we thought, oh, this could be a fun way. And actually, that was one of the things that really accelerated us as a company at the start, even though obviously you had to train them a lot, and for some of them it was the first time working in a company. It was so cool to get a sense of, oh, these people, are learning, they're growing in their roles, they're growing as people. It's very, very satisfying. And on that note, you in passing alluded to purpose earlier. I'm kind of curious, what is your purpose? Because it sounds like you are definitely a woman with purpose. You mentioned getting great satisfaction out of seeing people learn and so on. So, would you say you have a specified purpose, or how do you think about that?
I would say in my family, especially my dad, he used to give a lot of importance to education. So
Hmm.
he always used to say that of all the things that you give to the people to share with the people, knowledge is of utmost valuable, because it is not something which will be spoiled, or it is not something which we give it to somebody who is not worthy of it.
Hmm.
So I invested so much in the education and also helping out. And initially, when I just started out my job and I just started my with little earnings, I used to help out students who were having some difficulties in the finances. So I used to give the money. And later, I was helping in different ways. I was part of various non-profits, and I was President's Volunteer Service Award recipient for 2 consecutive years. So I was helping on different ways, on different platforms, but not really like going ahead and teaching someone. But then, as I'm already in the Salesforce ecosystem, then I thought, why not teach somebody? Why not help people make their careers? Because it's like it's like helping them in changing their life. So from where I started to how it's changed, I pivoted to helping people more with the Salesforce and running the sessions. So I see the direct results as well. And so if giving money, they may use it or not use it, or they may be more they may be dedicated or not. But with the Salesforce and these sessions, I can easily make out who is really interested, and if I'm really
Hmm.
spending time on the worthy people or not, and also seeing directly the results of what my efforts have been playing.
Of course, and um, I think there's something very candid what you said about people worthy of the knowledge and teaching, because it's so much more energy giving working with people who just absorb everything like a sponge and who are really driven to learn. Whereas if you're talking with people who are just not motivated to learn, that can be very draining. And that's kind of the opposite of what you want. But now also understanding your motivation for education and knowing how much importance you attach to it, this kind of explains probably why you have, I think, 16 Salesforce certificates. Is that right?
I think it's 19, not
19
including
already. Okay.
accredited AP certifications.
Okay, yeah, then I think then because I saw it on your LinkedIn profile, but I think you've been scoring a few more than since since you had 16.
Yeah, it's been a while
Congratulations.
that I updated. So I think almost all of the places it just says 16.
Sure. Okay. So this is the first time that the audience knows that you actually have 19 already. Do you ever already have an idea what will be your 20th certificate? Because I assume you're not going to stop.
I'm planning to give one by this year end. So I have 1 month, not even 1 month. So
Mhm.
I hope I can clear it. So I have the date scheduled. So I have to see.
Okay, and which one is it?
Integration architect.
Integration architect. All right. Well, I wish you good luck. I hope that I don't know if you take a holiday break, but I hope you'll find some time to study for it.
Thank you. So I'm just banking on the holiday time. So I
Mhm.
may need some free time at that time.
Great, great. Yeah, that's a way to do it. Um, so moving from education to your actual project work throughout your career, what would you say was your most interesting, maybe your most fun project specifically for Marketing Cloud that you've done so far?
Oh, it's hard to say which one is because I see each project comes with own challenges.
Hmm.
Uh, so I can say the projects which I worked on the healthcare, because given the security and the uh, safety that we need to follow. So that's one thing which I found challenging. And also, some of the projects that I worked on, the data and the tools, the complexity of the tools that are being used and the number of marketing tools that are being used. As we see here in the marketing landscape, we have like 13,000 plus marketing tools available. I have come across a client once using 300 plus marketing tools, and at least some of them, at least 10 of them were integrated with the marketing cloud. So they wanted to, even they were frustrated about so many tools, and if somebody onboards, the need for the new person to get acquainted, to get trained on all these tools is also overhead. So they were also frustrated with the number of tools used and the number of places they have to go to get some information. So they were planning to optimize the usage of the marketing cloud. So that's when I was on that project helping them find out which one they can get rid of and which one is the optimum that can stay. So that's something, because while working as a consultant, different projects, different tools, and also the migration from different tools. When we're migrating from a different tool, we need to understand that tool as well, besides working on the marketing cloud. And if that is a matured organization, if they have invested so much, they have already performing so much of sense using the marketing tool, it's very hard to switch to migrate as well, considering all the data, all the tracking information, and all the campaigns getting migrated, and also making sure that the live sends are not impacted. So they have to go as planned, as scheduled. So that's something which I felt challenging, and many more. Just to talk a few, the migration projects I feel are somewhat challenging.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And so this one project that you alluded to, I think was really interesting. If I understood correctly, you had one client that had more than a whopping 300 MarTech tools in-house. And was the goal of that project to get rid of some of those tools and migrate functionality and campaigns to the Marketing Cloud? Was that the idea?
Yes, kind of. So they were having Pardot, they were having Marketing Cloud, and for SMS they were using something else, and for advertising they were using something else, and for analytics it's some other external tool. So it's like multiple places. It's hard just to think about it. I'm going to multiple places. It's hard to envision that as well. So their plan was to get rid of some of the ones, optimize the usage of the marketing cloud.
And could you help us understand a little bit, like how do you approach such a project? Could you walk me through like the different phases and some of the biggest challenges in those phases that you came across? You already mentioned when you have to migrate away from one tool to the next, you also have to kind of have to know what that tool does. But just the fact that they had so many different tools in house doing so many different things, how did you tackle such a project?
It involved a lot of discussions, a lot of meetings, and also you may have experienced this while working on different projects. When people are working as a team, so many stakeholders will be involved, and it will be hard to get a buy-in from everyone. So some people will be for it, and some people will be against it, and pulling all the people together and convincing them and explaining them the benefits of moving over from one tool to another tool. One thing which I have faced a big challenge is people don't want to migrate. They get used to some one tool, and even though they know the advantages of migrating to the other advanced tool, there'll be hesitation, or there will be lack of resistance. I mean, like there'll be resistance to move to the other tool. So that's one thing which I have seen. So with a lot of discussions, and then proper planning ahead of the meetings, what kind of information that we need. And also for me, it was challenging, as I mentioned before, to learn. I learned a lot of tools, marketing tools. It's like a high level knowledge of what each tool does and how it integrated with the marketing cloud, and how that data is all flowing through from one system to another system. So that background work, and I have spent some time to research on what each tool does, and in the company's context, how they are utilizing it, and what feature they are actually using it. It's not necessary that they're using all the features of a specific tool, even though they have, it's like they have budget and they purchase the tool, but they're not using all the benefits of what the tool can do. So they were using only a few features of that tool. So what features are being used, what data is being used. That's also something which I have analyzed, and then putting together everything and comparing, giving them the pros and cons of a specific tool, what can stay, what cannot, need not stay. And it also required some effort on convincing different teams. So multiple meetings, I say again. So different teams were involved and convincing them and explaining them. So finally, we were able to provide some recommendations, and some were taken. And some, as I said, resistance were there. So maybe in the future, they may finally choose to migrate again.
Super interesting. Yeah, some of the things you said were super recognizable. I think one of the first things you mentioned is getting people around the table, having meetings, getting alignment. I would say getting their buy-in. One great consultant that I once worked for, sorry, he used the phrase coalition building, especially in a larger enterprise organization where you would try to identify one or two people who really want to get along with the project, and then from there a few other people, people, so that by the time you actually got to the big meeting, everyone was actually already on the same page. The coalition had already been built, and they didn't have to be convinced anymore within the meeting. I thought that was really insightful. It was almost like probably a good course in how to be a politician. The other thing that you said too is people get used to tools. There's just massive resistance to change. So was that something? Was that strong in that project too? The one with the 300 something tools, where people were just very attached to their old tools?
What I noticed was there was only one particular team which do not want to move, but all the other teams involved, 5 other teams, they were pro for it, and they were actually supporting. They were actually pushing it to get a buy-in. But for that one specific team, they do not want to, because they were already frustrated that they had to learn so many tools, and now that they learned one specific tool, they got used to it, and now they have to go and learn the other tool. And with the Marketing Cloud, the common challenge that people face, that what I heard frequently, is that the UI Marketing Cloud has, it makes it difficult for people to learn. If let's say Pardot or any other app that sits on the Salesforce, if they are used to work on the Salesforce, it's easy for them. The knowledge curve is not too much. But for somebody who is starting with Marketing Cloud, the UI is completely different, and the process as well is different. So they have some hard time learning, and that's where I felt the teams do not want to start using Marketing Cloud.
Yeah, also something that I have experienced at project work in the past, and still something we encounter a lot with Deselect. Obviously, because we replace one of the most technical parts with some of our solutions, and we make it a little easier to understand. But I think, this is just the kind of trade-off you have in a platform as powerful as Salesforce Marketing Cloud. It is a Ferrari, and you can do so many things with it, but you have to learn how to drive it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to. And I think, that's just the downside of having such a powerful platform.
Yeah, and we have distributed marketing, so we went that route. And
Okay.
we provided them the options and the capabilities of distributed marketing and the flexibility of using that within the Salesforce UI itself. So it worked out. For one client, we proposed distributed marketing, and that was taken. And for another client, so they have the similar issue. So they have a big team. What we have done for them is they wanted some other advanced capabilities more than what distributed marketing can do. So they wanted to create emails. They wanted to have the flexibility to choose between different journeys, the multi-step journeys, and also add the campaign members from everything within the Salesforce. So what distributed marketing can do, plus lot more. So that is all done as customization on the Salesforce, with a lot of communication happening between the Marketing Cloud and Salesforce. And for the SMS, they were using another tool. So it's like Salesforce is the data source, and Marketing Cloud is only used as the sending engine. and all the customization they were able to do from within the Salesforce itself. Then they don't even need to log into the Marketing Cloud. For the distributed marketing, some admin has to be there in the Marketing Cloud end, and they have to set up the journeys. They have to create the email with some dynamic content. So the people on the Salesforce, they can go and choose between different elements. But with the customization in the Salesforce, there's more flexibility on those parts.
Yes, for sure. I've seen that setup too happen before, where the maybe not necessarily master data management, but at least the master of record and the core data is kept in the CRM, and a lot more automation can be built in the CRM, obviously, than in Marketing Cloud. And then Marketing Cloud is almost like an execution channel, as there may be other channels too for communication too. Now, one thing that I started to wonder about, JB, while we were talking is kind of how does your brain work to dissect a new MarTech tool? Because I'm thinking, well, you have 19 certifications. You've done many of these projects where they had many different MarTech tools before Marketing Cloud, to which you sometimes had to migrate. And as you mentioned, you do have to kind of understand what these tools do. So given the fact that you've been exposed and had to investigate so many tools, I wonder if you have some kind of methodology or some method. I'm basically trying to figure out, like, how does your brain work? If I, show you a new tool tomorrow, how do you approach that? And is this something other people can learn and use for their own project work?
There's no secret formula, Anthony. I would say YouTube. So if I want to get the information or the high level overview, I would just go and watch some YouTube videos. So it depends on the type of integration the tool has with the Marketing Cloud. So earlier I was working on migration of the campaigns from responses to the Marketing Cloud. So
Yes.
it needed an in-depth understanding of how everything is organized within responses, how everything works in the responses. So I had to go a step further and see more videos and try it for myself in the responses system org, and have to figure out what just like the way we have different data extensions and email at one place and the journey in a different place in the responses as well, the data is all scattered. So it's not that easy to navigate there and understand the things. But by the end of the project, I got a good handle. That's what I believe. I learned some new tool. If I were to start creating some emails in the responses or do some SQL or set something up in the responses, I can say I can start with. So
Awesome.
my go-to place will be YouTube, and any other tool-specific learning content also is there. So I would go and check there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it makes total sense, by the way. But sometimes the most simple solutions are the best. So thanks for sharing that. We have one other thing, except for doing Marketing Cloud projects, we have one other thing in common. That is that we are both Salesforce user group leaders. And I believe you're the Phoenix Salesforce user group leader. So I was kind of curious, what's been your most fun get together or your favorite memory of being the group leader?
So favorite, there are many actually, but the inaugural event is always the most memorable. And also the inaugural boot camp. So I started doing the administrator boot camp. I think it's in 2019 or 2020. So when I started, it was my first time handling such a big event. It was like a 12-day session happening every alternate day. And then when I started with, I got 100 registrations, and in just one day, it reached 300 or 400. And I started worrying at that time. So I am that kind of person who do not want to say no for somebody who wants to learn, who are passionate to learn. So that made me worried that I had to say no to the people who wants to attend the boot camp. So it was like in 24 hours, it was like hitting. I continuously kept receiving the messages, notifications that registrations are happening and this much of count is happening. So end of the day, it made me worried. So I did not at that time I did not know how to say no to the people. And
yeah,
then
and you thought you bit off more than you could chew. That was kind of the worry.
So Gilda was there for my support, and she helped me out with the first boot camp. So I was very nervous at that time. Handling so many, such a big audience also was, it made me a bit nervous. So Gilda was there for each and every session. She provided a lot of support. So it was the most memorable, and the other boot camps, it's just the same way. They follow the suite.
All right. And in the end, how many people actually took the boot camp then? Of all those registered people?
The first session, I saw a lot of attendance, and by the time we reached the last day of the boot camp, I see the attendance decline. But the first one, it was
Which
like
is normal, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, 75% attendance or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I didn't realize you guys did such big boot camps linked to the user group. Was there a special occasion for that, or was that where did the idea come from?
So I took the admin certification at that time, Marketing Cloud Administrator, and then I am already leading the group, and I thought that why not have a session for people who wants to give the certification. Maybe I can share some tips. So it was a joint meeting with Atlanta user group and my group. So I gave a session that was just 1 hour. Then I thought 1 hour isn't just enough to cover the whole aspects of the marketing cloud. So then I thought, why not a complete full-fledged bootcamp that can be helpful for people who wants to learn marketing cloud as well. So administrator is something which a beginner also can start with. If they want to learn marketing cloud, they can start with the administration concepts. So that can be helpful for both, for the beginners and for the people who wants to clear the certifications. So that started like that. So that the initial idea was to just do one session, and it turned out to be 12 sessions.
Oh, that's amazing. So it just came very organically, and then it kind of started to live a life of its own, it seems. Well, very, very, I mean, very impressive. Great job on that. I'm kind of curious on a somewhat different note. You've alluded to having to work with SQL before, and you've seen marketers work on different projects with Marketing Cloud, at different companies. Are there some uncommon use cases where you've seen marketers successfully use unique segmentation strategies? Or a different way to ask it is have you seen very interesting targeting or segmentation being built at customers? It's a subject that, for us at DSelect, where we have a segmentation solution on the AppExchange, it's a topic that interests us a lot.
Yeah, as we are talking about that, I like DE Select and DE Engage as well, how the tool has been helping. I have seen some clients use DE Engage and Select, and I myself use the DE Search to find out the data extensions. It is a hassle, as I have to say. And this tool is like a savior when I want to find some data extensions, and there were a large number of data extensions out there and a complicated folder structure. So apart from that, I have seen clients, it varies from client to client, but I have seen clients using segmentation on a granular level to identify the people. So I have seen a client who sends out the email or who do their service based on the weather conditions and based on the type of insurance or the type of vehicle they have. So in such scenarios, segmenting on the location, on the weather, depending on the weather, and also based on their licenses, based on their subscription level and also the kind of vehicle. It's something that makes it complicated. And I have the inbuilt, apart from the DE Select, DE Search, I found the tools within the Marketing Cloud, the features also helpful, the segmentation features. Apart from the Salesforce, the SQL, the engagement split to analyze the opens and clicks, and also the Einstein features that are available out there. And for clients who have integrations with the MCP, the personalization, I have seen they have effectively used the segmentation in the personalization and then get that data integrated into the Marketing Cloud and run the journeys from the Marketing Cloud.
Yeah, interesting. I like how you, first of all, thank you for the compliment for our products. Much appreciated. But then, yeah, there are some of these interesting features in Marketing Cloud that you kind of can also use for segmentation, like within like an engagement split is one way of doing it. The other thing you mentioned briefly is Einstein. That's a great, let's say, a bridge to the next question. There's been so much AI innovation within Salesforce, but obviously also outside of it, with OpenAI really leading the efforts, but other companies like Google and Microsoft quickly catching up or following, pursuing the same thing. This is a hard question, but and I don't think anyone can really have the answer. But how do you think marketing will change, or how will marketing teams look like maybe a year, 2-3 years from now, with everything that's happening in AI?
I'm very hopeful of what comes in the future. With all the advancements already happening in the Marketing Cloud, all these features being added so quickly, I'm hopeful that many more changes are to come. And I'm hoping for something like not AI-driven automation, which streamlines the entire marketing operations. So just like the way we have the journey templates provided within the Marketing Cloud, I am envisioning something like a whole whole end-to-end process, right from starting a campaign to all the steps that goes within the campaign, the email creation, the A/B testing, the journey creation, the analytics, and all the steps that goes in between. So I am hoping some process will be there, so easily even a beginner who do not have much knowledge will be able to set up. The code is taken care, the email bills are taken care. So that's what I am envisioning. So even I'm excited to see and can't wait to see what the future holds.
So an end-to-end process for a campaign. So I wonder what that feature would look like. Would it be something like a prompt where I would say, so for instance, say if I wanted to use this kind of automation for my own company, and for instance, we recently just announced our marketing optimization platform, our MOP. So I could just say something like, "Hey, Marketing Cloud, build me a campaign for our MOP, and this is what it's about," and maybe give a little bit of description. And then Marketing Cloud would maybe make a journey with 7 emails and select the audience and everything. Is that how you envision it, or do you imagine something different?
Something similar to that, Anthony. So just like the way we have journey templates for someone who
Mhm.
do not have a basic plan of the journey structure, how it should look like, they can start with the template and see what they can include, what they can update. The same way for a campaign, it could be something like the whole process listed, and the end user can select what steps they want and what steps they can eliminate. And also, just like an in-app guidance, it can provide some assistance saying this will be helpful, and this feature is something which can optimize the campaign effectiveness. I'm thinking something on those lines.
Sounds very interesting. Yeah, we've also been thinking a lot about overall campaign planning, especially with Deselect Engage, which now has a big campaign planning feature. It will be kind of cool to have like a button that could kind of reorganize your whole campaign planning too. So, and then if you could combine those two ideas, you get this end state where maybe the whole end-to-end process of a campaign is AI generated. I don't doubt there would still be a human involved to curate, to make sure that the best potential answers, images are taken, and there's no like kind of hallucinations in what the AI is providing. But then once you have those things and you multiply the number of times, and you also need to have the constant overview. And so having some AI-driven capabilities that could completely reorganize your planning so that you get the highest amount of conversions because campaigns are nicely spread out and people are not oversaturated. I think that's super exciting. I think that's really going to be it's going to allow us to turn people in marketing operations into marketing superheroes, because it's going to be tremendous power.
Yeah, and so people need not spend much time learning Marketing Cloud. They just need to learn some of the main places where they can go and customize.
Yeah, all that's left then is just being a great marketer. That would be that would be fantastic. Maybe a last question before we round up the interview. So, of course, we have been alluding a bit of, and talking quite a bit about the technical side of things. But while people in marketing operations, marketing automation are more typically maybe associated with the technical side of things, the soft skills that they need to be successful, the leadership skills that they need to be successful are also super important. What do you think are these skills, soft skills, leadership skills that you need to thrive in these kind of roles?
I would say, as a marketer, it's very important to be empathetic, resilient, and also very important to be adaptive. So we have seen the pandemic, and we have learned so many lessons from that to be
Mhm.
encourage adaptation, be flexible and creative. So that I feel as a marketer, it's very important to be creative and adaptive and flexible enough and be able to pivot whatever the situation is.
So I heard being adaptive, super important, and I really like that you also start your answer by saying being empathetic. I think that's really great parting advice. So JB, thank you so much for making the time and coming on the show. It's been a pleasure talking with you and just learning more about your background and what you've seen in the industry. So thanks for your time.
Happy to be here, Anthony. Thanks for having me.